Hello, dear students. In last lecture, we have discussed the basic idea about uh, water microbiology. Now we are moving towards the different zones and stratification found in the aquatic environment. So here, microorganisms in aquatic environment occur, or we can say found, at all depth, ranging from the surface region to the very bottom of ocean trenches. So in that case, as we have discussed earlier, microorganisms are present everywhere, and they are found in aquatic environment also from the surface layer to the up to the trenches of aquatic environment, which can be found in the ocean. Distribution and population of microorganisms is varies depending upon the types and depth of the reservoir. So as the location or the aquatic environment changes, microbial population found in that particular environment can be changes, as it depend upon the availability of the nutrition, availability of the sunlight, uh, favorable condition for the growth of organisms, and other factor which affect the growth of phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. So as we have discussed earlier, so depending upon the type and depth of the reservoir, microbial population can be vary. Distribution of microbes also depend upon the source of nutrition and physical condition, which affect the growth and metabolic processes of the microorganisms. So these are nothing but the affecting factor on the microbial population, so that microbial distribution can be varied. The top layer, specially surface and bottom sediment, harbor higher concentration of microorganisms, particular in the deep sea. So it is a basic idea about microbial population, how they are distributed. Now we'll discuss about the what is meant by stratification of water bodies and how the water environment or aquatic environment are categorized into different zones, or we can say in case of stratification. Stratification is nothing but the formation of different layers. Layer by layer, microbial population can be differentiated, so that here we can define different layer as different zone of that aquatic environment, and it has a characteristics for growth of different microorganisms. Lakes and ponds have characteristic zonation and stratification. Aquatic ecosystems are classified as the photic and probundal zones according to the amount of light penetration. So aquatic ecosystem are basically classified on the basis of photic and probundal zones, depending upon the amount of light which is available for the growth of microorganisms or the carried out their metabolic processes. On that basis, aquatic environment are categorized into littoral zone, limnatic zone, euphotic zone, profundal zone, and benthic zone. So these are nothing but the different zone which can be uh, we have or human categorized that aquatic environment to different zones, and these different zones and different characteristics, growth pattern. So here in this diagram we can see it is nothing but the a typical representative example taken up of a aquatic environment, where in that we can see this is nothing but the littoral zone. From that region to this region is called as photic region. We can say littoral region. It is nothing but the true water environment where water is stored in that particular environment. Photic region, mixed layer, a photic zone, profundal zone. So this is nothing but a representative uh, diagram or image of the aquatic environment. So let's start with the different zones. Zonation in lake. Here we can see the first zone is nothing but the littoral zone. It is nothing but the area of shallow water near the shore where light penetrates to the bottom is called as littoral zone. Here it is nothing but the area where uh, light or sunlight penetrate to up to the bottom of that pond or lake. That zone is called as littoral zone. Here in the diagram we can see it is nothing but the image of the littoral zone. In shallow water, A large littoral zone along shore, which considerably represented by the rooted vegetation. So it is nothing but the another characteristics of that littoral zone, where water is shallow and represented by the rooted vegetation, or rooted plants can be observed in that particular environment. So that zone is considered as a littoral zone. In this zone, sunlight penetrate the bottom of the lake and allow the growth of aquatic plants. So it is nothing but the characteristics of littoral zone, where sunlight is present up to the bottom, available for the growth of aquatic plants. So it is nothing but the littoral zone. Next zone is nothing but the limnatic zone. This is the open water area away from the shore, where light does not generally penetrate to the bottom. So it is another region where sunlight would not reach up to the bottom of that particular water bodies. So it is called as limnatic zone. Here in this diagram, we can see is the image of a limnatic zone. Here, this is nothing but the limnatic zone we have already discussed, and it is the uh, littoral zone, and it is a limnatic zone. So in that diagram, we can see the sunlight would not penetrate up to the bottom of that aquatic environment. So that zone is called as limnatic zone. Depending upon the availability of the sunlight, the microbial population present in that, or we can say phytoplanktons or zooplanktons, which are found in that particular environment, are also vary. The resident microorganism in limnatic zone, which includes algae, cyanobacteria, and pseudomonads and caulobacter. So these are nothing but the organism normally found in that particular limnatic uh, environment. Next zone is nothing but the eutrophic zone. So normally in the case of microbiology, we discuss eutrophication of lake. So it is considered as a eutrophic zone. This is the layer from the surface down to the depth where light level become too low for photosynthesis. As we are moving toward the depth of the particular aquatic environment, so it represents as a eutrophic zone. Here is nothing but it is the layer from the surface down to the depth where light level decreasingly or decreases slowly. So, due to the unavailability of the sunlight, there is a low process of photosynthesis carried out. Light level up to 1% also define the eutrophic zone of the lake. So it is nothing but the characteristics of eutrophic zone, where only 1% light is available for the uh, different microorganisms or photosynthetic organisms, and it is nothing but the characteristics of eutrophic zone. Photosynthetic activity decreases progressively in the deeper region of the open water. As we know, for the process of photosynthesis, all the photosynthetic uh, organisms need a presence of sunlight, and in the absence of sunlight, the photosynthetic activity is slowed down. So here, photosynthetic activity is progressively decreasing in that particular zone. So it is the characteristics of eutrophic zone. Next is profundal zone. This is the zone between the limnatic zone and the lake sediment. This zone is dominated by the purple and green sulfur bacteria. So another region where it is the region between the limnatic zone and lake sediment. That means we can see it is nothing up to the bottom of that particular aquatic environment, and it is represented by the purple and green sulfur bacteria. So it is nothing but the profundal zone. Next zone is nothing but the benthic zone. The bottom sediment, also known as benthic zone or benthic region of the aquatic environment. It is represented by the, as it is composed of soft mud and uzu at the bottom. This zone has a surface layer abundant with the microorganisms. Most of the microorganisms in this region are invertebrate, that includes insect larvae and black flies. The benthic zone is largely populated by the Desulfovibrio and methane bacteria. So it is nothing but the characteristics of benthic region. So in this lecture, we have discussed about the how aquatic environment are categorized into different zone and how they are stratified. This is all about that zonation of aquatic environment. Thank you.